Okay, so I wait to see if my molded parts turn out. We're going to continue working on the portraits today. So typically what I would do now is I'd put the pupils in and stuff, but I'm going to kind of reverse orders. And the main reason is because I would put the eyes in, get those detailed, and then I'll go and do my other washes. But a lot of times when I do my other washes, they run into the eye, and it just makes it harder to clean up with the pupils in and stuff. So I'm going to do my other washes now. And what that entails is basically I'm going to add some washes to the eye sockets, a little bit on the cheeks, and then I'll do the stubble too with some just light gray wash. So for the eye sockets, I start off with purple, the same purple I did on the whole body. And add a little purple, a little brown in the eye sockets. Again, I just need a little bit, like just a little dab. We're going to add a lot of water. I'm going to mix this up really good. Actually, I may need more pink than that. Let's see. Yeah, I need more than that. Want another little glob. Actually, use a paint mixer. Just breaks up the pigments better. Okay, so now I got this washing in, and just a little soft brush. Let's see how watery this is. Again, we don't want it too opaque. Got a lot of air bubbles in there from mixing it up. And what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing we did on the body, but we're just going to use some Q-tips and stuff to clean it up. So take this and we're just going to put it right here in the crevice of the eye and right here below the eyelid. And then we dab. We're going to count how many. I'm going to do the other side. And then we dab. Let me see, it started running to the eyeball there, and I don't want that. So that's why I didn't put the pupil in yet. Let me get another brush. It's a good idea to have just a dry brush nearby. You can go in there and soak up any extra. So it went in the corner of the eyeball, and I don't want that. And I'll probably do this twice. Again, this is going to be kind of subtle, but it's going to give a little more dimension and character to the face. John Orwood told me this trick here, doing a little purple in the eye sockets. And I also do a little bit of brown too. Okay, we're going to do it again. I'm just keeping track of how many times I do it, so I keep it consistent across all the eyes and heads. And just got a dry brush here to kind of go in there and soak up any excess. I don't mind if it gets in the wrinkles. I can already tell the difference. Do this again. And with the flat surface on there, it's on there just long enough to stain it just a little bit again. Just like we did when we did the overall wash. Just give me a slight tonal shift. And it's pretty subtle. God dang it, I just spilled my wash. Today's not going good for me. Probably because I'm not 100%. I'm going to wipe my lens off real quick. It's looking a little cloudy. So now I get to mix up some more wash. I just spilled it because I'm an idiot. which is bad because now this is not going to be the same consistency as the first one I did. The trick is keeping it all the same. We'll get it close. So let's put that over there. Okay. And then I can do a lot of Q-tips when I'm doing this. Again, trying to avoid any spotting. Just go in there and blend the edges. Okay. Let me do it one more time. So now number 3. When you're blotting, you really got to concentrate on the edges of where you put your wash so you don't get a line. I'm just going in here and soaking up a little bit of the excess that's pooled. And then Q-tip again. Okay, that's looking pretty good. All right. That's subtle what's there. Then we add the, once I do this on all the eyes, I won't seal it. I'll go ahead and do the red, I'll do a slight red wash on the cheeks. And doing a little more redness, just a little more kind of rouge. Yeah, you don't want to leave any pools of your wash because then they'll just straight up say, hey, I'm purple. You don't want that. So go in there and soak up any excess so it doesn't. I can dry out the hair dryer a little bit and speed the process along. This is mostly water. So we're going to do 3 times since we did 3 times on the other head. You can see when I go in there, the capillary action of the brush just soaks up that extra. The excess. Try that. One more time. And don't leave it on there too long. Just as soon as you put it down, start excuse me, start taking it up. Let's just get a little more fleshy look in those areas. Just kind of define the eyes a little bit more too. Yeah, it's looking good. All right, let's do this head. Yeah, you just want to do this real slow. You don't want to go in there with a super pigmented wash because then it won't blend. It won't look natural. You just got to do several light layers, building it up. So there, I started to blow dry it, and I noticed I didn't dab the edges enough. I saw the wash moving, so we got to come in there and blend that a little bit better. And again. Oh, dang it. Just used the wrong brush. That's supposed to be my clean brush. For soaking up. Oh my gosh. My brain is not functioning today. Dang. So you got some there on the corner of the eyeball, and let's go in there and soak it up. You don't want it on the actual eyeball. That's why I was kicking myself. Like I put the irises in and everything, and I started doing this, and it starts running into the eyeball. I was like, ah, crap! I don't want to. So I'm getting smarter. Well, no, I'm getting smarter, but I think I should probably do this step first before I put the irises in. That would make sense, right? That way I don't have a chance of damaging the irises. Okay, that's looking good. Okay, a little too much here, and it's kind of coming out. So now I go in there and clean that up. Like that. And someone was asking me, like, couldn't you just use regular water instead of your saliva? Like, I could, but it's just much easier to stick the toothpick or whatever is in my mouth and use it. And then my clients get a part of me. And so it's just a matter of, like, workflow. Really. You don't have to use saliva. I just do because it's easy. It's there. See a slight edge there. So I'm going to dampen this Q-tip and try to get rid of it. There we go. You can also use clean brushes, kind of go in there and even it out a little bit if you're noticing this kind of spotting or pooling. This is a relatively easy step, and it makes a big difference. When I started doing this a couple years ago, it really, really made a huge difference with how my portraits looked. It was like a light bulb moment when John told me to do this. Okay, just add a little purple in the eye sockets. And then I started doing a little bit of brown too. Just to accentuate the shadow a little bit. You gotta be careful because it can kind of get like raccoon eye looking, but so I'm gonna compare this to the other head. I'm gonna do this again. I think that was 3 times, but I'm gonna do it one more because I'm looking at the other head. I could probably go one more time to match the other heads. Okay. So this step where you start kind of selectively doing washes is when you can really start bringing your portraits to life. Okay. You see, I'm not sure if you can see it, but I just touched the brush and it just soaks up that excess really quick. And when you're doing this, you don't have to seal it between every little bit. Just blow dry it and then keep going. Because again, you're not putting a ton of paint on there. You're just literally, again, just staining it. So like I said, I go through quite a bit of Q-tips. You're probably not even seeing what this is doing in camera, but I can tell once it dries it down. It's really, really a nice effect. It's super, super subtle. And if you want more drastic effect, just keep doing it. But again, you gotta be careful because then you have raccoon eyes, I guess circles. When I do the brown, it'll kind of bring the shadows down a little bit. I want this to be a little more, I do want this to have a little more recessed look, so we're gonna go with some brown after we do the purple. But I'll seal it before I do the brown. It's okay if it gets into wrinkles a little bit. You don't want the pigment to settle and dry. That's what you want to avoid. Because then that would look weird. Okay. I'm not really keeping track of how many times I'm doing it. Just kind of keep doing it until I get the look I want. I'm looking back at that first head I did, and I think that wash had a little more pigment in it before I spilt it. So you can take your other brush, soak it up, wipe it off. And I'll use that to blend too. Go right around the edges just to kind of soften that edge up a little bit. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. All right, one more head. Taking the skin tones, I'm liking them. They're looking really good. I'm just going there and getting up all the little pools of wash. I don't want a pool of it. And I can go in there and blend it out a little bit with a soft brush. Just like that. Okay, that's gonna be pretty good. We'll do one more time. One more over here. And that should do it for the purple in the eyes. So another trick that Anya, I haven't tried this yet, that she does, is that she goes in with a whitewash on the forehead, which kind of makes sense. Just adds a little, man, that looks really good. Again, I'm not sure if you're seeing what I'm seeing. what you're seeing, if you're seeing in camera, what I'm seeing, but it makes a huge difference doing that. And I'm going to look at all these. I'm going to kind of compare them and see if any of them need a little bit more. Thinking this one could use, actually, that looks pretty good. This one looks really good. I think it's the best looking one. Again, these skin tones, they're probably 99% all the same. But again, I'm human. I'm not a robot. So, you know, to get them all as perfectly close as I can. So there is going to be some variations as far as like how much wash do I need to put on to get them all looking the same. And depending on the head, you can make it more drastic. You can add more contrast. If like this head right here, he's got this kind of snarling look. If you want this to look really more rough and tough and angry, you can add more contrast to it, and do that. You know, you can. I try when there's like 5 or 6 heads, I try to make them all look identical, skin tone wise, detail wise. But you can change them up if you want. If you want to add a little more contrast or saturation, you know, I wouldn't change the skin tones, but as far as like going in and picking up some of the details, like right there, I got a little pigment that dried up in that crevice. So again, I'm taking saliva on my brush. I'm going there and I'm just going to try to take it off, soften it up, and take it. There we go, and I got rid of it. But I had a little bit of pigment that had settled in that crevice, that wrinkle, and dried. Okay, so that looks good. I'm going to put the purple to the side. I'm going to mix up a little red. And we're going to do cheeks. Oh, you know what else I need to do? I do purple. Actually, I do red and brown on the lips. Not purple on the lips. I don't want to look cold. So if you use purple, you know, like on the lips, your character will look cold. So now here's red. Again, this is just red. I think it's called True Red. Yeah, True Red. There's no cheeks on these guys, so we put those to the side, the mask heads, but there's cheeks on these guys. And it's the same process. Now, it's a little trickier because the eye sockets kind of have a delineation between the cheekbone right here. So it's a little, you can get away with it if it doesn't blend perfectly. On the cheeks, you gotta make sure you blend it really, really well because so I go in here like this, and then right away start dabbing. And even that little bit made a big difference. One more time. And you see I'm blending it up into the eye, so it overlaps that purple just a little bit. And right there I can see a little line. And one more time over here. That's interesting. This side has more, the sculpt is slightly different. There's more of a cheekbone, like coming down this way. But that right there, yeah, I can see that on camera. That makes a huge difference. Now you can go in here and do a little bit on the nose, just a little bit. So very subtle. I don't think I want to do it in the forehead. Sometimes I'll put it on the forehead, but that can get looking like there's sunburn. I'm going to do stubble down here, so I'm not going to worry about that. So I'm just going to do the cheeks and the tip of the nose. But the red is pretty, it's pretty obvious that you've done red. It tends to stand out a little bit more. So that's why I just do it 2 times. You know what else I could do? I could do it on top of the ears. When I blend this, when I'm tapping, I'm tapping up into the eye socket, so it'll blend into that purple. overlap a little bit. Get that for that Q-tip. Now right here I got a little bit of a line. I'm going to go in here and just kind of scrub it away. A little too far there. Now, since I haven't sealed this, I can go in here. See, I'm getting a dried line right there. I just want to take a little bit of saliva, again, just because it's easy, very lightly, and I go in there and just kind of scrub that line away. Just like that, and it blends it in. Now I'm doing all this without an optivisor. I do this, when I'm doing washes like this, I do it from a viewing distance, a normal viewing distance, and it really tells me how it blends. It's hard to, I've tried to do it with magnification, and it's really hard to tell what the washes are doing when you're magnified because you're so focused on one little area that you can't get the overall picture. So when I do these, I'm not doing it with magnification. Okay, again, that looks pretty good. Just a little, oh, gotta do the nose. Don't forget the nose. Get a little water spot there. Let's see if we get rid of it. Okay. Now these are, I mean, now they're really starting to come alive. Now we're starting to look like a face. And this is my method for doing this kind of thing. I see one little thing up there. I don't know what's going on there. Got a little. That was a little white residue from something. All right, that's looking good. The nose a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I've seen guys go and they'll do this, like they'll go and really do some very selective red washes. I typically just do the cheeks and the nose. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Now I'm going to take the red. And you notice now I'm going back. I'm going to do the lips a little bit. We don't want lipstick. I used to go in and like hand paint the lips, like I'd go in there real tight but I started doing the washes and it's like, oh man, that works really well. Because it's just really subtle. Just build it up a little bit at a time. It just looks more natural. Give it a staining. Trying to get this excess out of the corner of the mouth. I don't want that there. Okay, it's pretty good for red. We don't want it too pink. We're going to add a little bit of brown in the shadow and blend it out, and then it'll look real natural. Now these lips, I should probably wait until I go in and do the mouth, but we'll go ahead and do them now anyway. I'm actually going to try something real quick. I'm going to try washing the inside of the mouth for the gums with this red. This might be an aha light bulb moment for me. We'll see. I hate doing gums and teeth. They take me forever. I just got to spend a ton of time going back and forth cleaning up. I kind of made a mess here, so I'm going to clean it up. I went a little too heavy. My goal was, by flooding the mouth with the wash, is that I was hoping maybe it would tint the gums enough that they would just get painted by the wash. Don't know what's going to happen. Never tried it before. So there, I got a little speck. A little splash. So right here I've got a pretty significant line I got to get rid of. Okay, well, the lips look good. The gums didn't do what I wanted to do, but it's okay. I'm using this brush in here to clean this up a little bit, to soak up the excess and blend it rather than a Q-tip. Because I can't get a Q-tip down in there. Okay. So decent. I'll do these lips. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and do the brown without seeing. I think I can do it. I can't remember in the past if I sealed it and then did brown, or I just kind of kept going. I think I just kept going. Dang it. Okay, so I got red on the outside, which I don't want. So I'm going to scrub that off before it has a chance to dry at all. So when you first put it on, it's really vibrant. It's like, oh man, that looks terrible. It looks like he's wearing lipstick. But you got to remember, it's mostly water. And as long as you dab, start cleaning it up right away when it dries, it will not look that red, or whatever color it is you're using. I can see right there, got a line. Need some more Q-tips, clean Q-tips. Okay. I put a little bit on this little brush. I'm having a hard time getting it where I want. Okay. Looks pretty good. Okay. Excuse me, it's a damn cough. It's going to kill me in the next few days. All right, so now I need to mix up a brown wash. And am I out of cups? Little measuring cups? I think I am. Let's see one of these guys. I can rinse it out later. So this is just raw umber. Actually, I wish I had a different color. That's got a little. Let's see what I got. I like raw umber. I don't want burnt sienna. It's got too much orange in it. So it's burnt umber light. That might be what I don't need. Yeah, that's what I want. Okay. Well, let's mix those two together. I just want a brown of some sort. But raw umber's got green in it, and I don't want green. Let's mix these two together. Okay, so I got kind of some brown thing going on. And back to the eyes. And this I just do a little bit, like one time. And this, I don't actually mind if this kind of dries and it cracks a little bit. It's pretty subtle, but it's a nice little effect. And we're not killing the purple, it's still there. Okay, that's looking pretty good. And again, we're just kind of selectively bringing out some more of the sculptural details. Yeah, that's been really good. Now, I should, while I'm here, I might as well do the lip. And this I may do it a couple times. And sometimes, like this, I think I got a little too much red on there, so I'm gonna hit this pretty heavy, and I'm just gonna clean up the edge and let it dry. Yeah, that looks good. Okay. So this head should have the washes done. It's ready to seal once that dries. I'll give my little toothpick. I see a little hard edge there. Get rid of that. Okay. Oh, what the heck? Oh, crap. Damn it. I had red paint on my thumb, and I just touched his face, which really sucks because I gotta get this off now. I'm not sure where that came from. Oh, I see where it came from. Okay, it looked like it came right off. Oh, crap, it's on this one too. Shit. Damn it. Just when things are starting to go my direction, I may have to do some of these washes over them. Because I may end up taking some of it off, trying to clean this up. We'll see. I think we're okay. Came off. Okay, alrighty. I need to get rid of this glove. It's got paint on it. Yeah, that's good. It just kind of helps blend the purple a little bit too. I really don't know where'd paint come from. I got a little bit here on my bench, but okay. Okay, I think this is looking pretty good. One more. So I can also bring this brown down a little bit to accentuate the cheek, this cheek detail a little bit if I want. It's very subtle, but I was really upset I got sick because I was hoping to have the figure done like yesterday. But working on Friday actually made me feel a little bit better. I woke up feeling like shit on Friday. But kind of getting up here and working did help. Okay, that's looking good. And then the lips on this guy. So I got this little line right here. It's bugging me. Really little spot right there's bugging the shit out of me. Okay. Okay. So we're gonna call the washes done. I think that's looking pretty good. If you step back and look at it, you can see the nice redness on the cheeks. We got some nice shadowing in the eye sockets again. The nose have just a little touch of pink. Oh, actually, I can do the stubble. For that, I'm gonna mix up a little black wash. Actually, I'll just dump this out. Add a little black to this. So I just dumped out my brown wash, added black to it, and some water. Mix this up. Yeah, let's see. Let's get rid of all these Q-tips. I've got to get flow dirty. New Q-tips, dirty Q-tips go that way. I used to use hobby Q-tips, but it was getting very expensive to use hobby Q-tips all the time because those are crazy expensive. All right, same thing here. This is a little more opaque. I'm going to build it up slowly. And actually, I think if I come in here, I take most of it off and I do this number. Kind of stipple. And then kind of come in here and dab a little bit. This will give me some tonal variation in the stubble, and it should look a little more natural. I've seen some guys that fleck it on, and I don't like that. It's way too jarring. So we got this kind of mottled look to it. I can take it and blend it out. There's that neckline a little bit. Just keep playing with it until I kind of get a consistent look. Here we go. That's looking pretty good. It may be a little dark. I'm going to go in there and kind of take some of it up. I'm going to take too much up. All right, I'm going to continue doing this and then we'll come back. All right, moving on to adding the eyes. So I haven't sealed these yet. I'm just going to keep going because there's no reason to seal them. But took a little while, but I got the 5 o'clock shadows looking good. Added some stubble to the lips. And I just went back and forth between stippling it on and then taking a wet brush and blending it in and a Q-tip and everything. Just trying to get it to look as natural as possible. So I think we're pretty successful there. That's the first time I actually did that technique where I just stipple on a wash. And I kind of dig it. Looks good. And here's this head. Yeah. So now the eyes, and I won't be able to show a ton of this on camera because I got to get it super close, but I use decals. People say I cheat, but I don't care because I suck at painting eyes and I just haven't learned how to do it. But a lot of times what I do is I'll put eyes in and I'll paint over them if it's not the exact color or if I need to make them a little bigger or whatever. So a lot of times I just use them for placement. So I use them as a stencil, but I happen to have the right eyes and decals for this guy. and I happen to have enough. So I've been using Archer decals for eyes since I saw him on Vinceville Customs. He uses these for his stuff. Again, it's more of just being more productive, and just no one has ever complained about my eyes. So I keep doing it because, well, why not? It works, right? So I cut them out. These are quarter scale. They're, pretty small, even for quarter scale. But the first thing I got to do is when I orient, I don't know, get them in the right position. I want to decide. So they come with a highlight kind of printed on the eye. Let me not focus, it's too small. So what I typically do is, because I cut these down because you don't want the full eyeball. You don't ever see the whole eyeball. So I typically cut the tops off, and I go into the irises a little bit, and I use a straight ruler. So I cut the pair out. I'll zoom in. The quality's going to probably fall apart because I'm zooming in. So I'll cut them out, and then I'll get a straight edge. And I just cut the tops, and the bottoms I don't worry about. I cut those after after they've been dry and they're in the eyes. And you want a good sharp blade. But this way, when I use a ruler, because that way I can make sure I'm cutting them they're being cut evenly. So I come in and I cut off about the top, I don't know, quarter to a third of the iris. You probably can't see this because my hand's in the way, but it just is what it is. Use a ruler, and I just try to get them as even as possible. And I just come in, and I make a few passes with my blade. I don't try doing once because you'll move the decals, and then you'll be hurting. Okay. So then I come in and I cut them right up to the edge. I cut off as much of this as I can. So I'm off with mostly. So these decals are what they're not pre-cut, meaning that the decal film goes over the entire piece of paper. So you want to cut as close to the actual decal as you can. Oops. So let me just go in here. Okay, just like that. So now what I like to do, to take whatever head I'm putting to make sure it's water. Whatever head I'm putting the decal on, I take it and I just put some water in the eye. Actually, you know what? I do need to seal this because I'm going to get water everywhere, and I don't want to disturb my sealer, my washes. So I'm going to seal these, and I'll come back. Okay, I went ahead and sealed those. They dried for just for a few minutes, and now I can do decals. So I didn't want to affect the washes we did. So here's my decal down here. Got it. I'm going to go ahead and finish cutting it just freehand. I can see the line. Like that. So this part we don't use. That's our little decal right there. So right there, that's what we're going to use. And first thing I do is I just take some water and I put it in the eye socket that I want the decal to go into, like that. Just wet it. And then I pick up the decal, wet my brush again. I can pick up the decal with my brush and put it on there and just let it sit for a second. Let it loosen up from the paper. And the toothpick is handy. I don't put these in a thing of water and let them float around. They're super small and it releases pretty quick. It's already released. So I just slide it off and get the paper out of there like that. And now it's just a matter of kind of getting it where you want. So I'm just going to center these guys and push it way up in there. And I'm not going to really solidify that yet because I need to have the other one in place, make sure that they're lined up. So again, we're going to trim this decal down as much as we can. I'm just going to do this down here off the camera. Let me see it. So I'm just trimming all the white off around the decal. The last time I tried to paint eyes, it took me 8 hours to paint one eye and it looked like shit. So maybe someday I will learn how to paint eyes. I can learn it. I just don't know. The tools that are available to do it, I'm going to use the tools that are there. Right. That's my philosophy. And they look good too. Get rid of that part. Okay, again, just going to wet the eye. Pick up the decal with my brush. Put it there. Again, a little more water. Get 20-30 seconds to loosen from the paper. Meanwhile, I can kind of come in here, and these are really deep set sockets, so it's kind of hard to see. I tend to get a lot of light on them and put them. So I'm looking 4 or 5 feet, no, not 4 or 5 feet, 2 feet away or so, arm's length to see if they're straight. They're placed evenly. You don't want any googly eyes. And it also helps if you turn the head upside down to see if they're even. Now this left eye is actually closed a little bit more sculpturally than this eye. And you'll find that sometimes the eyes aren't sculpted evenly. Even though this is a digital sculpt, it's closed a little bit more. It's no big deal. So right now I just want to get these centered. Sorry for the snorting. This one looks good. I'm going to bring this one in just a hair. And you do this while they're wet. I'm not sure if you can see that, but it's looking pretty good. Now this excess on the bottom, we're not going to worry about that yet. We're going to wait till we set these, and then we'll trim them after they dry. So now I can go in here with my brush and take all the excess water out. And it's not until we go in there and start doing some detail painting that these really come to life. We add in a line around we add a little pink into the corners of the eyes. I used to do a pink line around, a water line, but it actually looks better with the black line. Just kind of emulates some eyelashes. And it just frames the eyes really nicely. So I started doing that. But I do go in and actually put a little black line around the irises, not the irises, but the irises, or the eyeball itself. Okay. So I'm going to stand back and look at this. Again, this eye is closed more. You can tell that this frown is down more. So I'm going to turn it upside down and make sure how we're looking. Yeah, we're looking pretty even. Okay, so now what I do, I take my Microsol, which is my choice of decal setting solution. And we're going to get this water out of here. And just taking and put a drop on. And once this is on, you don't want to touch these decals. They start to get soft. And you can damage them. The Archer decals are very fragile once you put a setter on them. So once you do this step, don't mess with them. All right, so I'm gonna leave it setting like this too. I want to leave it on the back of its head. So I don't want the decals to slide around at all. All right, so I'm going to do that to the other 4 heads, and then once that's done, we'll come back. I'll seal them, and what I do is I'll have to trim them, then seal them, and then we can do some detail painting. All right, so while I wait for the eyes to dry, I demolded my Samurai's blade, sword handle, and actually turned out pretty good. So it's a little soft still. So I'm going in here, and I'm just cleaning up as much flash as I can. Again, this is not going to be as good as the original because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So I'm just going here while it's still kind of green, and cleaning up this flash as much as I can with the blade, and I'll clean up later, but I think this is going to work. The details came out nicely. A little bit of a mold slip, but you know what? It's okay. This will work for what we want. Hopefully Tony will be okay with this because it's better than not having it at all. But I think this looks pretty good. So I'll just have to clean this up a little bit more. This is where the was squishing out of the top of the mold. So I'll sand this smooth and sand that little notch in there for the hand guard of the palm. I don't know the terminology, but anyway, it looks pretty good. So I'm gonna mix up some more A's and do another one. And I got to fix this a little bit in here. So a little cleanup, a little sanding, and I think we should paint up okay. But that's where we are on those guys. And I just pop this part out. Again, it's a little green, so I'm going to clean up the flash. And I'm just going to sand that, round that off when it dries, and I'll have to carve out this hole with the Dremel. But you know what? I think these are going to be okay. Yeah, it's a little green. Actually, I'm just going to let this dry. I'll just sand that smooth because it's pretty thin, and I don't want to mess with it too much. But I'm going to go ahead and mix up some more A's and get 2 more of these going. So that was about, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours ago that I put that in the molds, and it's to the point where I can pull it out and not really affect it. Okay, so the decals are dry. So again, I'm going to try to show this on camera. I don't know if I can show it to you, but I'm going to put an optivisor on, get some magnification. Because now I trim off the excess decal that's around the bottom portion of the eye. So let's see if I can show this. Zoom out a little bit so I can get closer. I just get a fresh blade and just real carefully with like no pressure. I keep my blade still when I turn the head. Right there, I'm starting to tear a little bit. I don't want to tear it, I want to cut it. And then I can take a toothpick. And pull the little part off. And don't worry about the little white line underneath because that's going to get painted in when I do the detail painting. I just need to get it off the skin. Just like that. Again, don't worry about the white light underneath because I'll get painted. So I'm going to do that to the rest of them, and then I'll seal it with a coat of. I don't seal right over the decals with the Krylon because I've had it actually affect the decal. So what I do is I brush on a light coat of like a gloss varnish from Vallejo or whatever. Let that dry for a little bit, then I'll seal it with Krylon. But yeah, the Krylon will sometimes eat the decal if I put it on too wet, and I don't want to do that. Okay, well, it's been a while, but I was going in and doing all the detail painting on the eyes and the open mouth, and the 3 unmasked portraits are done. They look really good, and I've talked to my client about what we're going to do with the masks. So now the only question is, do I hand paint all these, or do I mask it off? And my initial thought is to mask it, because I may want to airbrush some metallics. So I got to decide on that. What else do I want to do today? I mean, it's Sunday. I'm freaking tired. I still have to paint fingernails and paint the wraps on the hands. And I still have to do the detail painting on the torso. So there's still a lot to do on the figure. But anyway, I think I'll just pick up maybe tomorrow and show the rest of that stuff on Monday. Okay, so it's Monday morning. Continuing on, I'm going to go ahead and get the hands wrapped up. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and paint the wraps. And that first step is just to base coat the wraps in black. Now, my reference have these painted in blue like the rest of the uniform, but I think I may do it. I'm not sure if we're going to do blue because these look kind of like canvas. So actually, I may do this. I think I want to do more of a cloth look. So let's change the color. Let's not do that. Let's do we'll use this color. Oh, it's too bright. Let's do it in, what color is this? Let's do brown fur as the base. So this is brown fur from Army War Paint. started doing base coat in black. Like, I was gonna do the blue, but I think I want to do this more like in a canvas cloth look. So again, I'm just gonna do a little bit on camera because it's just base coating, just going in here and cutting in, covering up all the yellow paint and skin tones that we have sprayed everywhere from our previous steps. And then we'll do might do a wash and then dry brushing. Or maybe dry brush and see if I can, just dry brushing some white on top of this. We'll do our a very light tan. So I may take 2 coats because there's different layers of paint. You got yellows, you got skin tones and stuff. So I may take 2 coats of this to cover adequately. So I'm just switching it up a little bit, taking a break from the portraits. I got the unmasked portrait done yesterday on Sunday. Put in about 7 hours of the work. I'm feeling a little bit better today. The painting actually helps me feel better because I don't think about being sick. Okay. Anyway, so I'm going to do this off camera and we'll come back. Okay, so while the base coat is drawing on those wraps, I'm detailing the fingernails a little bit. So if you look at your fingernails, there's like rings of color on there. And I'm sure they're all different, but mine starts with a lighter ring and then kind of goes, darker than lighter again. I'm not going to go crazy, but I am going to just put a few little details in here. So like I have a kind of a skin tone, a lighter skin tone color mixed up here with some pink in it. And it's pretty thin. I just take this flat brush and I'd actually take most of the paint off. And I like to have it's not a flat brush, it's actually a round brush, but I flatten the bristles out. And then I just take and I just very lightly dab it onto the surface. And here it's a little bright, so then I can come in here, I can kind of add a little more. Let me redo that thumb. It's a little bright for my taste, but it's okay. This finger looks a little bit more natural. So we're just going to add a couple, or, I guess I don't know what they're called, but the little details in the thumbnails. And, yeah, just to give it the illusion. Just real subtle. And then I just hit the fingernail tips a little bit, real light. It's more like a wash. And you can just build it up. Dab it on. Kind of tap it with your finger. But just that little bit right there. Makes quite a bit of a difference. I'm actually going to take this one and start over because it's a little bright. I get too much paint on my brush. Since I haven't sealed this, I can take it off. And I can go back in here with this brush that's got a little bit on there and kind of build it up. There we go. Looks pretty good. I'm going to take most of the paint off. Only a very small amount on there. That's pretty good. So just that little detail makes quite a big difference on fingernails. I like to use a Q-tip because it just softens the edge a little bit. There we go. It's a little bright. Leave it. Just do a little bit at a time, build it up. I don't want it too bright. So we're going to do that. So I'll do that to all the fingernails, and then we'll seal the hands, and then we'll detail the wraps. All right, so I'll seal the hands, and now I'm dry brushing on some fairy flesh or elf flesh onto the wraps, and we're kind of getting this nice. It's not canvas. What's the word I'm thinking of? I can't think of. Like what? I guess bandage. I don't know if that's the right word or the right term, but anyway, this is kind of the look I was going for, and that's looking good. So right in this area, like right as this dries down, it looks perfect. It goes on pretty bright, and then it dries down quite a bit. And I'm using the chisel brush because I can get right up underneath the. I can be pretty precise with where I go with this. I can get right up underneath the edge of this armor and just pull it out, and then it doesn't get paint where I don't want paint. It's a little tricky when you start getting around the knuckles and stuff. You just got to be a little more careful. Again, if I get paint on, I can just take it off, but the less cleaned up, the better, obviously. All right, so I'm going to do that to all three, and we'll seal it, and then we'll paint the ropes. Okay, so I sealed everything. I'm going in here, I'm doing a wash on these wraps because they're not quite exactly where I want. I want them to look a little more kind of, I don't know, aged. So I'm just doing a brown wash on top of these. Trying to blend this in a little bit better, and hopefully this will get me where I want. I think it just went too bright with the highlight color. But I'm just going to brush this on and let it dry. And hopefully this will, yeah, I think it's going to work. It's just toning it down a little bit. It's just too bright. I did the ropes in like a blue. So I used the blue that I did everything else with, and then I added a little bit of silver. So it's like a little, kind of like a metallic blue. It's like a little sheen to it. So it looks like a, I don't know. It looks kind of like a silvery blue. Yeah, that brush sucks. It is dead. I'm just going in here and just being real careful. I don't want this to run anywhere. This is the Vallejo wash. This is actually called Oiled Earth. Just going to paint this on and should give me where I want. And then these hands will be done. Thank God. 3 more parts are done. Every time I finish a part, it's like a little victory dance on this thing. This thing has been kicking my ass. My client's like, I'm in no hurry for it. Yeah, but I got to get it done so I can move on to more projects. So I'm trying to get it done as fast as I can, and not meaning I'm trying to hurry it, just meaning I'm trying to get it done in as few hours as possible, but it's just been really such a struggle to try to keep. I mean, it's going to be crazy expensive, and I'm just, it just is what it is. It's just so time consuming. And this is why I started charging jobs like this is why I started charging by the hour. Because before, like when I first started doing this, I'd quote a price, and then I'd get into it, like, holy shit, I'm making like $1 an hour, or I'm making, $3 an hour for my time plus all my material costs. I'm like, it just didn't make sense. So I stopped doing that. Everything's by the hour now. I just have to. It's the only way to bill yourself out. Now, some people go, sometimes you finish something faster. Well, then, whatever. But for stuff like for painting and stuff like this, it's, I do have minimum fees for certain things, but for stuff like this, by the hour for me is the way to bill. And my client's been like super cool. He's like, yeah, I know. It's like he's loving it though, which is the most important thing. And I know once he sees this in person, because every time I look at it, I'm like, holy shit, that looks really fucking amazing. It's not too often that I impress myself, because there are guys out there that are a lot better than I am as far as there are certain things I'm really good at, painting wise. Skin tones, I'm getting much better. I'm really happy with these. I made them a little on the punchy side, a little more contrasty, which I really like. Fits the piece well. Fits Carlos Franco's sculpt really well. So I'm getting better at skin tones. There are guys that are out there way better at skin tones still than me. But there are guys that are way better painters than I am. They've been doing it longer. A lot of them don't paint for other people, but this is one of the pieces I'll be like really proud to say I did. Okay, that's going to look really good when that dries down. That's exactly what I wanted. So I'm going to do the other two, let it dry, seal it, and then those hands are done. Woohoo! And then I'm going to move on to the torso. Okay, so after sealing, we got the hands done. At least these switch out hands. They look really, really nice. The wash was the trick to get everything looking really nice. That one. Here's this one. They're all, they're the same thing, just different poses. And the other one. Looking really good. All right. So now we're going to move on to the torso. Getting that detailed. Sorry, I'm over here organizing parts. Every time I finish something, I put it on the back table behind me, and my pile is slowly growing. Okay, so the torso. Actually, I should probably clean this up a little bit. So I'm going to pause, clean my work area, because I need to put a towel down, and then we'll come back. Okay, on to finishing up the torso, finally. So I did the fingernails earlier when I did the other parts. So the first thing I got to do is the veins, because I got to do the veins, because there's hair on top of the veins. So my skin tones are looking really, really nice. Those washes are like great. I've got a couple little spots where the wash kind of technically messed up, but it actually looks like blood vessels. So it's a happy accident. I got a couple little areas where I was trying to avoid edges of the water spots, but the few spots that I have, it looks like it's actually a little happy accident. They look like blood vessels underneath the skin. So he's looking really good. So I just did a little test spot right here on the bicep. I'm actually airbrushing the veins. I've done this in the past, and I want to try it again. So I mixed up a couple, basically a bluish green, just using craft paints, Anita's craft paints. And it took me a while, but I kind of have this color going on, and it's super watery. It's like very, very thin. So I airbrush it on, and then if I need to clean up, I just clean up with a Q-tip. So it's kind of like doing a wash, but applying it with an airbrush. So, and if I want a really tight vein, I just get super close. Now so what I like to do is I don't like to draw, and I got a toothpaper paper towel here on the side because sometimes it's hard to see if anything's coming out. Maybe it's a dry tip. Yep. We'll be finding that. Come on. These craft paints are not the easiest thing to airbrush. You can do it. No, my airbrush is clogged. It was working fine just a second ago. And of course, as soon as I start to record, it doesn't want to work. I'm not sure maybe this is clogged. Let's see. One thing about the craft paints is that they're, you get what you pay for. They're like $1 a bottle, but the pigments they're not ground up they're not as fine. They're not ground up as fine. So, you know, these aren't like crazy expensive, high quality. I should maybe add a little water to it. Let's see. All right, I'm gonna come back again once I get this working again. All right, we'll see if it works again. It was working just a second ago. Again, these craft paints are kind of more trouble than they are worth to airbrush, but I want to be able to clean this up easily. So I'll just show a little bit again on camera so I can concentrate. And I got to use two hands to steady this, but let's see if we can. Again, I like it super subtle. So I'm not sure if you can see that, but we got a little bit of a vein on there now. Get some better light in that spot. Make sure my airbrush lid is on, because we do not want to spill this on there. That would be a disaster. So then what I do is I get a little overspray. I can just take a Q-tip and clean up the edges, and it's perfect. I just kind of clean up as I go. And again, I'm not making this the same opacity throughout the whole part. Because if you look at your veins, like it's like on my arm, I can see it more there, but then it fades away and it, you know, it comes in and out. So it doesn't have to be the same tone all the way through. It wouldn't look right. And then it just looks like green lines on your body. So again, I do them super subtle. Again, I just see a little area where it's kind of overspraying too much. You go there, just clean it up. Okay, come here, pressure on. Also, part of it is I'm using a .03 needle. It's like one of the few airbrushes that actually know the needle size in it. And so these craft paints like to clog those up pretty easily. So, this is going to take me a while. And again, I'm going to do most of this off camera, and then we'll come back and take a look at it. Okay, so I switched to a brush. Airbrush is giving me a lot of issues and just not wanting to spray. So I'm just doing the same thing. I'm taking the wash, putting it on the brush, and just real lightly applying it and dabbing as I go, taking the excess off as I don't want. That, I can come in here and dab. And then if I feel like it's a little too dark in one spot, I can just, again, kind of moisten a Q-tip and dab it a little bit. But it's starting to look like something. So that's going to take a while because I got to do the whole torso. So once those are done, we'll seal it, and then we'll do the nipples and the hair. All right, so we sealed everything. It looks good. So I'm not sure if the veins are showing up in camera, but they're there, nice and subtle. Excuse me. All right, for the nipples, I mixed up this kind of brownish pink tone. I'm just going to darken them just a little bit. And we're going to do kind of the same way. We're going to do it in a really just kind of thin layers. And I may add a little more pink to this. We'll see. This actually may be not the right color now I'm looking at it. I may have to adjust this. It's too bright. I'm going to add, where is it? Let's add a little bit of brown to this. I'm going to darken it down just a little bit. Probably added too much pink to it before. I'm going to lighten it up. I come in here with a little moisture on the brush and just kind of stipple. Okay, well, that's not doing what I wanted to do. We're going to go ahead and do the other side since I've already done this side. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a red wash on top of this, I think. Got a little pink wash mixed up over here that I've used earlier. This is the hair dryer real quick. I have to look at my reference again because it's actually looking pretty good. Maybe a little pinker and just a hair darker. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this by itself, I think. Just going to keep layering this. It's too dark, but if I go in there and take some of it off, it should be okay. Got a little redness to this color. Okay, there we go. I think I finally got it. Don't want them crazy dark, just want them a little darker. So I like doing the washes because they're super thin and you just build them up slowly. You can see all the other layers underneath them. And you can reactivate them with a moist brush and just kind of play around with it a little bit. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm all congesty. Snorting and sniffling. Like at 4:30 this morning, I couldn't sleep. Okay, that's actually looking pretty good now. I knew I'd get there eventually. It just took me a little while. Sometimes I got to figure stuff out. Okay, what I'm seeing is that red wash kind of collected in a crevice. I don't want that. Get rid of that. Okay, and then let's go seal, just do a real quick spurts right here on the chest. And then we'll do the hair. And this torso will be done. Yay! And then I can move on to masking off for the samurai masks. All right. All right, there we go. Just darken them up a little bit, add a little pinkness to them, and looks good. So I'll seal those and we'll do the hair. Okay, so for the hair, I mixed up a little of this brown fur color with a touch of black, and I got this kind of brown mixed in. Using a chisel brush, I put some on my brush, and I don't take all of it off. I take the excess off, and I'm literally just dragging it really crazy lightly across the surface. I'm not going like this with bristles. I'm taking just the flat part of the brush and just lightly dragging it because the hair's sculpted in. So I'm just doing this super light. I'm not putting any pressure. I'm just letting gravity put the pressure on the brush, and it's just picking up the fur, or the hair, I should say. And you want to go perpendicular to the hair so you don't turn it to get, you know, paint all over the skin. Now we'll go a little heavier kind of in the creases here of the muscles just to give it some shading. But what I'll do is I'll do this, and then I'll actually go into a slightly lighter color and just add a little bit of a highlight of brown on top. That's looking pretty good. It's real easy to make it look dirty and not like fur or hair. This is how I do it. So I'm switching the direction of how I'm moving the brush based on how the hair's laying down on the body. Let's go and do this all on camera because this doesn't take too long. I gotta do something that takes 30, 40 minutes or longer. That's when I just show you a little snippet and then do the rest off camera. But this should go pretty quick, even though he's got quite a bit of hair on, sculpted in. So just kind of come up here. If you get a little bit on the skin, don't worry. It just makes it look natural, just darkens the skin a little bit. You're going to get some of the skin no matter what. You just don't want to paint the skin this color. See, I got a little too much right here. It's kind of a weird pattern, so I'm just going to take it off and then reapply that area once that dries. But again, I'm just really just letting the weight of the brush do the work. And he's got hair in his arms. Again, I like a chisel brush because I can use the pointy part to get into areas that are hard to get to. And I just go right over the veins. So I did the veins first. So it would be under the hair. The hairs on his arms seem to be sculpted a little tighter, meaning the detail's a little more pronounced, which just picks up the paint easier. I'm going to go a little faster here. I think I can go a little faster. I think I got a little too much right there. Too much paint on my brush. Oops, did it again. That's looking pretty good. There's some hair there I didn't even see. I just started dry brushing and kind of picked it up. Okay, let's do the other arm. That's looking good. I'm going to come back here and hit this again. Now there's hardly any paint on my brush right now, so I'm actually pushing a little harder than I was before. Pick up a little paint off my paper towel here, so there's just very little bit on there. I'm going to come into the muscle here, the shadow. I'm going to hit that a little harder. Got a little bit right there I don't want. Yeah, so it's just easy to go in there with a damp Q-tip and just kind of, if you get a spot that you don't like, just take it off. I'd like to get a little bit more right here. I got this weird delineation I'm not liking. There we go. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Hopefully it's showing up in camera. I can't tell because I'm not looking at the back of my phone. So when there's hardly any paint on my brush, like right now, I can push a little harder. And I'm not going to get excess paint where I don't want it. That's when when there's more paint on the brush. And then you start pushing paint in between the details instead of on top of the details. This arm's got a little more hair sculpted on. Does it go down to his hand on this one? It doesn't, for some reason. This one comes down further. Here's a little weird thing I don't like there, so I'm going to take it off and redo that spot. So I'm going to take the tip of my brush now, and I'm going to come in the muscle creases a little bit and try to darken those up a little bit, still just real lightly. Okay. That looks pretty good. Let's see. Do I want to do a highlight? I don't know. I feel like the chest could be a little bit darker. And come here and do it again. There's some more hair that's out in this area I didn't see. We'll hit that. I'm just going right over the nipples because there's some hair kind of sculpted around the nipples. So just go right over that and so what you can do is, just so it's not a straight delineation between hair and skin, is take your brush when you're almost out of paint, just when you feel like you're out of paint, and then come past the sculpted hair a little bit and just darken around just a little bit. And you're just adding a little bit of it's very, very subtle. Actually, I'm not going to do any highlighting. I think this looks good. Okay. I think that looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. I'm going to seal it up, put it all together. I'll clean out my workbench, bring the other part of the statue over here, put it together, send some photos to my client, see what he says, and if he likes it, then the torso's done. Oh, okie dokie, sending some photos to my client, and he's digging it, so naked torso's done. I think it looks really good. So what else I got to do? I got painted some little ribbon straps that go on the armor on the other torso. I still got to paint, but those will be super quick, so I'm not going to even show those. So now I got to move on to painting these masks. So we're going to again use the Titanium paint up as a go by. So I'm going to put this to the side, and we'll start on those here in a second. Okay, so moving on to the other masks. So I'm going to go ahead and just mask these off. We're going to mask the masks. So I'll do just a little bit here. Again, same thing as when I always mask. Just put it on loose, seal the edge, like so. Get a new blade. And just don't put any pressure, let the blade do the work. And cut in the crevice. Now, a lot of times I would put all the tape down and use, but since I've got such complex curves here, I like to do it a piece at a time. Well, guys, like, why don't you use silly putty here? Because again, I get a cleaner job with this. And silly putty, I have to go back and repaint all the edges of silly putty anyway, so I'll just hand paint everything. But masking tape, in my opinion, is the way to go. So this actually goes up underneath the mask there a little bit. There's a bit of an undercut there. So just make sure I kind of push that up in there. I lost my favorite tweezers a while ago. These are kind of like them, but these are Need to buy another set. I've got like 6 different tweezers, but I had a favorite pair. And I don't know what happened to them. My guess is I took them somewhere to like a model group somewhere, and I left them there. Used to get together with a local modeling group and we build Gundams together. So anyway, I'm going to continue taping. No point in showing this for, I don't think it'll take that long, actually. The hardest part will be taping around the hair. There's texture, but once I get done taping, we'll come back. All right, so we got these masked off, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put down a base coat. So the reference from Tittenham, her paint up, she kind of did this kind of nice warm brown, not brown. I'm gonna base coat with raw sienna, which has got a little orange in it for the majority of the mask. And then she went in and just did a bunch of detail painting. So the first step is to get this color down and get it highlighted and shaded. And then I think the rest of it's gonna be hand painting. So let's get some of this down. And we'll see what this looks like. Alrighty, so just a quick base coat. This is golden acrylic high flow. I build it up lightly. One thing I like about Mr. Color lacquers, I can actually put it on pretty heavy and like get everything covered in 1 or 2, like 2 coats maximum. The acrylics, I gotta just build it up slowly. I think my needle's bent on this airbrush, unfortunately, which means I gotta fix it. Let's switch airbrushes real quick. Put some water in there so it doesn't. I actually think I have the wrong needle in here. I think the needle's a .03, but the tip is a .05. So the needle's coming out way too far on this airbrush. I need to fix that eventually. Let's get rid of the chrome. My mini chrome. Here we go. So this raw sienna's got a little more orange in it than the reference. The reference is more just kind of straight up tan, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this down. And I'm going to go do some shading, shadows and highlights, and then I'll probably mist on another color to blend it all in. All right, so I'll get these base coated. We'll let them dry for a little bit and we'll come back. Okay, so I'm going in with some transparent brown iron oxide and I'm adding some shadow details to this, and it's looking pretty good. I'm not doing it on camera just because I've got to get in real close to the airbrush and see what I'm doing. So I'm going to do this to this one, and then the other one And we'll see what it looks like. I may miss something on this to shift the color a little bit, but so far it's looking pretty good. So yeah, there's where we are on this one. Okay, so now it's Tuesday. This is as far as I got yesterday. We're doing some baking show trickery here because it's hard to show this stuff on camera. So anyway, after I got that initial kind of brown coat down and shaded and everything, I went in and trimmed out the black. And for that, I just used the craft paint. The black craft paint covers really well. Like one coat does it, and it paints really smoothly. So I did that. And then for the gold, I went ahead and used my, what I've been using, the liquid gold. So there's different shades of gold in this line. There's gold, old gold, green gold, red gold. And I just went with straight gold this time. Looks really good. So now I got to go and paint the teeth, and we're going to make it look semi-realistic. So again, I'm just going to do this off camera and then come back. This part's going to take a while because teeth take me fucking forever. So once I get the teeth done on these, then all's left on the figure are the samurai swords, the blade, the handles and the hand guards, and then the figure is done. So my goal is to get the figure finally wrapped up today, and then we can talk about the base. So anyway, I'm just going to start doing this off camera because this is going to take me quite a while just to do the teeth, and I'll come back and show you the results. Okay, well, that didn't take as long as I thought it would. Probably 30, 45 minutes. Just a steady hand and 2 or 3 coats of paint. I just got done sealing it, so it's a little on the shiny side. But the white is in on this mouth, and then I'll do the other one. And then we're going to do some shading around the gum line just to dirty up the teeth a little bit. But it's looking really good so far. Yeah, so I'm going to keep going. Okay, so I'm going to try to show a little bit of this on camera because I had a lot of people on my face, who follow me on Facebook asking me about all these little details and if it's hand painted and how do you do it. Because to be honest, I'm still not a great hand painter. I'm getting better because I'm doing a lot more of it. I would say 3 or 4 years ago, I didn't hand paint much at all. Like in years past, I would have masked this all off and airbrushed it. It would have taken me a long time to mask this little mouth, but the more you do anything, the better you get at it. So yeah, so it's all about keeping your hand steady and just knowing kind of how to do that. So I'm going to clean my lens off again. It's smeary. I'll turn that off. And so I'm just going to show a little bit of this because, again, I have my Optivisor on and I really need to do this. Oh, maybe I can. This is coming. So for these teeth, what I want to do is I want to make sure I keep a black outline. So the way we're doing this is very kind of, I don't know, like anime style anyway. So the way I do it when I'm doing something like this is the trick is to make sure your brush hand is very steady. So I use my pinky just as, just to rest on here. And you gotta make sure and also make sure your paint's thin correctly. Sometimes I don't thin paint at all. So this paint right here, the color I'm using is actually the Elf Flesh, and then I mixed in a little craft white paint because this dries way too creamy, but it's not, and I don't want pure white. So I mix that in my wet palette, and then I put in some flow improver. So this isn't complete, and plus I'm painting on black. So this takes about at least 2 coats, usually about 3 coats, sometimes 4, depending on how I put it on. So for these teeth, I'm coming in and I'm using my pinky to steady my hand, and I'm just going real slow, and just one stroke down, just like that. And then if I want to tighten up this line up here a little bit, I just take the brush and just I'm putting the brush down. I'm just pushing. I'm literally just taking the brush and I'm just pushing straight down. And what that does is it takes the bristles and the bristles are attacking the surface like this. But when I push down, they fan out and it pushes the paint right to the edge where I want. If that makes sense. So I want to tighten up this line a little bit. So instead of trying to draw it across, I take the bristles and I just come in here and I just kind of push it a little bit. And then it messes up the center a little bit, but then I just come down. So then I take a little more paint. And I'm going to wrap the edge of the tooth just a little bit. Again, and then what I'm going to do, I'm just dabbing. I'm not actually, I'm just dabbing the edge here. Just like that. And then a little bit on this edge. And since I'm going for a really hard black outline, I'm not painting all the way down to the side of the tooth. I don't need to do that for this kind of, if this was like a real face, like a real head, then I would paint all the way down to the gum line of the tooth. But since we're keeping this kind of like an illustrative look, I just need to put enough paint, wrap the tooth enough to show the shape of the tooth and keep that really hard black outline. Now what I'm doing here is I got my brush right on the edge of the tooth, and there's a few bristles that are wrapping around the edge of the tooth, which are helping paint that edge. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I basically have the outline the way I want. I want this to be really smooth. So I'm just going to come here. I'm just going to take some paint and I'm just going to dab it on there. Just like this. I'm not, using any brush strokes. I'm just dabbing it on and just letting it flow off my brush. And now right now it looks 100% opaque. But since this is white and it's on top of black, when it dries, there'll be some areas that need more coverage. But with the flow improver on here and everything, when this dries, it should dry nice and smooth. So just like that. And then once I get the paint on there, I don't want to mess with it too much because it'll start to dry pretty quick. And once it starts drying, you really don't want to mess with it because that's when you start getting paint strokes that don't go away. You want the paint to let it flow on its own. And I'm no means an expert at hand painting acrylic, so I'm just telling you what I've kind of figured out on my own. If you really want to know how to hand paint, you need to follow some miniature painters. There's some amazing mini painters out there that are they just blow my mind. I would really love to sit down with a really good mini painter for a few days and just learn some of their techniques. Wet blending in particular. So I'm just dabbing. I'm not using brush strokes. I'm just dabbing the paint on there. I'm letting it flow off the brush. So this is tricky because it's hard for me to see what I'm doing because I'm looking at trying to show you at the same time. Like that. So these teeth I'm doing now, this is the second coat. You can still see the brush strokes and the black through it. But now I'm more dabbing than I am. So I find that the paint flows off better and it just kind of naturally, with the flow improvement there, it just naturally kind of evens itself out. The flow improver dries slower than using water, so it gives it more leveling time. So there I just kind of messed up a little bit. Took that paint a little further around than I wanted to, so I'll have to clean up that edge a little bit. Actually, I can come in from this angle and just straighten it out a little bit. There we go. So what I was doing, what I did is I got a little paint on the undercut of the tooth, which I really wasn't trying to do. And not that you probably would have never seen it, but I could see my optimizer at a certain angle, but the side of the tooth, the edge it went straight and it had a little dip in it. I'm like, well, shit. Now I got to straighten out that edge. So I just straightened that edge out. But if you were to ever look at this in person straight on, you would have never seen that edge. But it bugged me, so I fixed it. Now, this big tooth, I will go ahead and use brush strokes because I want to keep that even. And the bigger the surface, the more coats you're going to need to make sure it looks even. And then once I get the paint on there, I'll just use the tip of the bristles to kind of help smooth it out a little bit. So that's what I've been doing. So I'm going to keep going, but I just want to kind of show you. Someone was asking about, man, how do you get, is it just it's a steady hand and patience? And, a lot of times I'm going back and forth. Like on that first mouth I didn't have to go do any cleanup. If I kind of screw up on this, luckily I'm painting against black. I can just take some black paint and touch it up, to clean up any mess up. But it's not like I paint something and it's done. There's a lot of back and forth painting, cleaning up, touching up. It's just a lot of back and forth until you get the way you want. But that's how I've been doing that. So when I get done with these, I'll come back. Okay, so the next step on these guys is to add some shading to the teeth. I've already done this one. See there, it's looking pretty good. And I'm using oils for that. So I've got a piece of cardboard here mixed up with some, what I got? Wash brown, ghost gray, and a little bit of yellow. And I got this kind of brownish green color going on here. And again, I'll just show a little bit on camera because I need to get close in with an optimizer. But the way I do this is relatively simple. It's not a super tedious process. It does take a little while just for the blending and stuff. But I got a little bit of mineral spirits over here on the side to clean my brush every once in a while. Now, when you put oils on cardboard, it does leach the oils out pretty quick, so they'll start to dry out a little faster, but that's fine. So I just take a little bit on a brush like this. Let's see. This is a place where I can see what I'm doing. There's a 2-brush system. You need one for application and one for blending. So this one, so I get some oils on my brush. And I'm just going to apply it right up here at the gum line. I don't care if it gets on the black. You're not going to see that it overlaps the black by the time we're done. And just kind of put it on there. Like that. And I'll go do a couple more teeth. I'll let that dry just for just for a little bit. So now, the nice thing about oils is that they stay workable for a very long time. Oops, I just got someone's nose. And I will be able to seal these pretty quick after I'm done doing what I can do, because I'll hit it with a hair dryer for 5 minutes or so, and I'll be dry enough for me to seal them. You can bake oils too. I've never done it, but I was talking to a guy at a convention who's a very well known mini painter. I can't remember his name, but he does everything in oils, and he bakes his oils. Okay, so now I can just take this is a clean, soft brush, and you can just kind of come in here and start pulling this down. And clean, soft, dry brush. And you just play with it till you get the look you want. Now, since these are teeth, I don't mind if it gets a little streaky, because teeth have got that kind of texture to them. So I can even turn my brush a little bit this way. You can even go in and push into the oils like this. And it's just a back and forth until you get the look you want. And that one looks pretty damn good. So we'll move to the next one. So I'd like to get a little more oil on the side of the tooth here, so I'm just going to pull it around. And then I have a Q-tip to the side here, where if I get a little too much oil somewhere where I don't want, I can use it to wipe it off or blend it in. I'm just constantly kind of adjusting how I approach the oil, so I'm not sure if it's staying in focus. But there you go. So that's how I do that. So I'll finish this mouth, we'll let them dry and seal it, and then these portraits will be done. Okie dokie. So I just glossed the eyes, and these portraits are done. Looking really sharp. Let me get the hummus for that one so we can see what it looks like. Put the samurai helmet on this guy. And he's looking pretty menacing, I think. Super, super nice. Focus. Here we go. Yeah, looks fucking fantastic. And then here's this guy. Looking really good. Okie dokie. I'm going to call this work in progress done. For the most part, the figure is finished. Let's go ahead and put them together here a little bit. The only thing I do, I got to clean up my castings, which are okay, and paint the samurai sword and stuff. I'm not going to do that on camera. It's just hand painting. But let's see how he's looking. So we'll do the armored version first. I also painted these little straps, and I actually had lost one of these little. Man, I don't know if I was missing or I lost one, but it's got these little straps that tie the shoulder armor to the chest and back armor. I either lost one or I was missing one. So I made a casting of one of these just using the clay and pourable resin and create another one. Okay, for my client, I have glued on, the neck's been glued on, the shoulder armor is glued, and the chest and back armor has been glued on. So that'll be shipped as one piece. And then I glued on the shoulder armors to the arms. This hand has been glued on. I left these hands detachable just for ease of putting the swords in and stuff. Okay, there's that. Just throw this guy on there. Come on. I mean, come on now. That looks pretty badass. I gotta move it away from my back of the. Okay. Man. Super, super awesome. Right there just shows me that all the work that I've been putting into this thing was worth it, because that just looks fucking phenomenal. This is the first time I've had it like all together. Excuse me, I'm still fighting this freaking cold. But man, that looks fantastic. All right, let's put on the other head. Now these heads are a little shinier than the other heads. I put on the sealer a little wetter. So one of these masks to have just a little sheen. So these heads are just a hair shinier than the other ones, which is fine. There's that guy. All right, let's throw on the other heads too while we're at it, just to see what that looks like. So technically, you could use any of the heads with either of the versions, naked or arm clothes. Yeah, looks good. Super happy with the portraits. They all look really good. That guy. This one. I actually think that may be my favorite portrait. And knock the exposure down just a little bit. It's a little bright. Yeah, see, it wants to brighten it up. It's a disadvantage to use like your phone. I could go into all these different modes and control the exposure a little more, but it's just a little bright in camera. He's not that bright in person. And I've got 4 really harsh work lights on it. And then let's put the last portrait on. 5 fucking heads. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. The last time I painted someone with 5 heads was a Nightcrawler. That's a good looking portrait too. Okay, now let's take all this off and let's put the naked torso on and see what that looks like. And initially I was going to work on getting this keel looser, but just for me taking this on and off, for my client, when you watch this, when you want to take this torso off, just pull up on it and just wiggle it back and forth a little bit. It'll come off. Remember, I rekeyed these, so they're a really tight fit. This one's a little looser. This one goes on a little smoother. All right, so now this guy, again, he's not this bright in person. Put on different heads. That guy. Yeah, I think that's my favorite portrait. That one. And then this one. And then I guess technically this one would go with without the helmet. And I guess if you wanted to put this other one with the helmet on, you could, but it wouldn't make sense, I don't think. I don't think you'd be running around with just this helmet on. But technically you could. But that looks kind of weird. Actually, that doesn't key in there very well that way. So anyway, there we go. I'm going to call this work in progress done. I need to talk to my client about the base. There's some discussion if we're going to go ahead and finish the entire piece right now because of the cost of this so far. So I really just want to get it finished and be done with it. I don't want my personal opinion is really up to my client and what he wants to do. But I want to finish this project completely because it's been so much work. I just want to see it finished. So anyway, there you go, guys. Thanks for watching. This is another long video, but we covered a lot. Skin tones, you know, all sorts of stuff in this one. But thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye.